Today's story involves a husband and a father of three who was heinously killed and body was left outside of his home in the early hours of the morning. Today's goal is to keep the memory of Jordan Baxter alive and to once again bring light to what it looks like when impulse takes over the flesh and logic leaves the mind. Familia, let's gather around this kitchen table. We gotta talk. Jordan Baxter was brought into this world as a gift to his loving parents when he was born on Christmas Day, 1986. Not only was he a gift to his parents, but to everyone around him as well. If you asked his schoolmates, cousins, parents, children, neighbors, friends, anybody who knew him, all they'd be able to do is gush about Jordan, saying how reliable he was, consistently showing up for his family, his friends, and peers when needed. In 2004, he went to college and majored in media communications. And according to one of his schoolmates, he was part of the street team for WIUP 90.1 FM. And one of his schoolmates described him to be incredibly talented at mixing music and highlighted how he was fully committed to the work they did on campus. She said his energy was contagious. He was humorous, fun to be around, laid back, easy to vibe with, incredibly smart, a memorable personality, and always uplifting. She also dubbed him to be the best grape Kool-Aid maker ever. And you know Kool-Aid was everything back in those days. Now, a man with such a prestigious reputation would surely get snatched up at some point by a lucky lady walking around with those attributes, right? And sure enough, that lucky young lady's name would be Danielle. Now, according to Danielle's Facebook page, it appears the two of them got together sometime in the 2000s while they were at college, I believe, because I did see someone on Facebook say how Jordan and Danielle were couple goals on campus. So apparently the two of them were the it couple that went the distance because on October 27th, 2012, the couple tied the knot before God and promised till death do them part. Oh, how those vows would take such a twisted turn, and we'll get into that shortly. Now, he and his wife produced 3 children together during the duration of their relationship, and Jordan was described to be a man who adored being a father to his children. He was present for the family he created, and he was held to such a high standard because of this. Because although it's actually not rare for a black man to be present for his family, contrary to what most believe, because we only hear so much about the bad seeds of our community, it's still something that's super highlighted. And in addition to his genuine love for his family, going back to him being reliable, he made sure to be able to provide for them as he was hired to be an engineer in SEPTA around the time he got married and held on to that position for an entire 14 years. Now, if you're wondering what SEPTA is, like I was when I first learned the acronym, according to Google, SEPTA is the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, a public transit agency serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area, including 5 counties, Bucks, Chester, Delaware, Montgomery, and Philadelphia, and connecting to transit systems in Delaware and New Jersey. So that sounds like us in New York, the MTA. You know, the Metropolitan Transit, what is that, Association, Administration, something like that. And we serve the 5 boroughs, and then you got the MTA that goes out to Connecticut and to upstate in Westchester County and all that stuff, and Jersey too. But anyways, Jordan was clearly a pivotal figure in everyone's life. Unfortunately, though, he wasn't valuable enough to the one who shared his own last name. You see, according to 6 ABC Philadelphia, it was just before 7 a.m. on Wednesday, March 19th of this year, when officers responded to a report of the sound of someone screaming. Neighbors said they didn't hear anything else, just a loud scream. And so police pulled up to see what could possibly be going on so early in the morning. As they arrived at the 800 block of Bells Mill Road in the Roxborough neighborhood of Philly, police made the gruesome discovery of 38-year-old Jordan Baxter's deceased body outside of his home, laid out between 2 parked cars, where he was shot and killed, with a gun laying on top of his chest and a gunshot wound in his head as his body was laying on a plastic tarp. Neighbors described the scene to be complete mayhem, with about 10 cop cars, rescue, and fire trucks all present simultaneously. They said they never heard any gunshots go off, and one of the neighbors said besides a scream that was heard that morning, they normally don't hear anything coming from the Baxter home other than the kids going up and down the steps throughout the day. As for their perspective on the Baxter family, neighbors described the children to be lovely children who spoke, and they were polite at all times, saying hello, and they'd be seen playing, living their best little lives, being happy. They acknowledged the fact that Jordan and Danielle were a married couple and never heard any drama between them. And the couple was also always so kind to everybody in the neighborhood. They did point out that they noticed, though, Jordan was no longer living at the home. And in fact, they stated the couple had been separated for a long while. So I'm assuming with this information about Jordan not living at the house for a while and there being a separation and the fact that whenever a spouse has been killed, the other spouse is always investigated first, police decided to do their investigations on Danielle, and they came up with the theory that 39-year-old Mrs. Baxter was his killer after finding some damning evidence like bloodstains on the mattress in the home. Their theory is that Danielle shot and killed her husband inside the home and then dragged his body outside. So the very next day after Jordan's death, police arrested Danielle and charged her with his homicide, as well as possession of an instrument of crime with intent, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with and fabricating physical evidence. And she was denied bail. Unfortunately, the motive as to why Danielle did what she did still isn't necessarily clear, but there are some strange things that Danielle posted to her Facebook page before Jordan's death that had people feeling like these may have been like low-key forewarnings of what she may have been plotting to do. Now, apparently 5 days before Jordan's death on March 14th, Danielle posted something to her Facebook page that left people feeling like, maybe there was some infidelity involved, because she wrote, quote, "These females out here be plotting on your marriage and waiting for your downfall so they can come right on in, and these men let them," end quote. And then some weeks before that, she wrote, quote, "I'll be his piece if he's mine," end quote. So this, of course, left people feeling like, oh, this must be why she killed him. You can't be cheating on people and messing with people's emotions. You don't know how somebody is going to react to getting cheated on. That's why y'all got to stop being disloyal. And Danielle's cousin, who goes by T-Love on Facebook, left a comment underneath Danielle's post because everybody started swarming her most recent posts. You know how that goes with the internet. And so T-Love on Facebook left a comment under that post after seeing everyone's different opinions, and she said, quote, "Good morning, everyone. Peace and blessings. What I'm going to say is everyone needs to pray instead of having their own opinion. No one knows the situation and doesn't make it right or justify my cousin's actions, but truly just pray for his family and continue to pray for her strength because only God knows what really happened. Let's start by saying she devoted her whole life to this marriage. She was faithful and she was honest. I'm truly praying for you, cousin. I love you and you have my biggest prayers. And I'm also praying for Jordan's family because 2 families lost. And that's what people need to realize. You can ask anyone about her, even outside her family, and they'll tell you she was a beautiful soul. She was not that type of person. And I'm also saying everything is fun and games when people is out here sleeping with people's husbands like it's nothing but believe. If we lived in different countries, some of these women would have been killed for doing the things they do. That is so sinful to sleep with somebody's husband, end quote. It was pointed out in her comment section that she recently lost her twin sister on March 1st, 2023, and apparently she lost a brother as well. But I'm not sure when she lost her brother. And so, I guess people were trying to rationalize her deadly decision by saying she was going through a possible mental break with the loss of her siblings and the possible alleged infidelity in her marriage. The family of Jordan did make a GoFundMe for his funeral costs, and they've been able to reach their goal, plus more by the grace of God. It was just last week that Jordan's loved ones gathered around outside the Murphy Rec Center in the Endora section of Philly as a tribute to his childhood. And they did a balloon release in honor of his memory with red and white balloons because apparently those were his favorite colors. His job made a public statement expressing their grief, saying, quote, SEPTA is saddened by the tragic loss of Jordan Baxter. He was a veteran regional rail engineer. Our thoughts are with his loved ones at this difficult time, end quote. Now, Danielle is currently being held at the Philadelphia Industrial Correctional Center, and she has a preliminary hearing coming up this week, actually, on April 7th. Facebook was flooded with posts from any and everyone who personally knew Jordan, and of course, everyone expressed their love and pain from his sudden departure. You know, I don't know if Danielle killed her husband because of infidelities or anything of the sort, but what I do know is she killed the father of her 3 children who loved him dearly as much as they loved their mama, who will be spending a very long time away in jail, away from them. I know those children will grow up with this mental warfare because their beloved mother killed their daddy and then dragged his body outside of their home. Their mother and their daddy, who they knew to be so warm and loving. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Men are victims of domestic violence as well. And whenever it's them that's been killed or threatened or stalked or literally beat on, and they speak up about it, it backfires on them. And I'm not about to act like we can't acknowledge that Danielle said when she alluded to there being another woman in the picture. I've said it many times before, and I'll say this again as well. Y'all must stop the weird, sneaky cheating trend because it can absolutely turn deadly for any and everybody involved. Danielle's actions have been awful. You know how many Danielles are out here in the world with the capacity of taking your life if you do them wrong in that way? It's a sick reality. It's scary. Truly, you know, I hate that Danielle's rage resulted in such permanent and terrible ending, and she didn't think about their children. And so, familia, if you made it this far, please tell me all your thoughts on this story, and thank you so much for sticking it out until the end. Just let me know what you think in the comments about this story. I want to send my deepest condolences to Jordan's family, his children, his friends, his acquaintances, schoolmates, everybody. Rest in peace, Jordan Baxter. May your spirit live on with your loved ones forever. You'll never be forgotten.